Right folks, welcome to the channel, and in this video I'm going to show you how to take your MIDI drums from sounding like this to sounding like this. So, as you can see, I've got 3 bits of MIDI up here. These bottom 2, even though it's the full MIDI, I'm just using it for snares. So, to start off with, we'll just concentrate on this top MIDI. And the drums that I'm using is Kvlt Drums2. So, the actual MIDI is actually from 2-track. Originally, when I wrote the song, I wrote it with Easy Drummer. I tend to go with stuff from Ugritone, even MT power drums every now and again. I mean, all these techniques you can use with any of the drum programs out there. You don't just have to use it on the Ugritone stuff. These techniques will work on MT power drums if you're just starting out. MT power drums is free and it's a good sounding little program. Like I say, for this one, I used this one from Ugritone, this kit from Ugritone on the Kvlt Drums2. I prefer using these, like I say, because the raw sounding samples with the 2-track stuff, everything's all really processed to start off with, so there's not a lot you can do. Perhaps a little bit of EQ here and there, but apart from that, there's not really a hell of a lot you can do with it. So to start off with, before I even touch any plugins, anything like that, what I'll do, let's just close that down a second. What I'll do is I'll go in and if it's some pre-made grooves, I'll go in and edit the grooves to how I like it. So start off with, as default, everything's quantized. So I'll take the quantize off and put it into adaptive. I'll take the snap to grid off as well. Then I'll go into action, alter some velocities and humanize it so everything is not bang on the grid. And even then, I'll alter some of the velocities, especially for the ghost notes. I tend to find that a lot of the 2-track stuff is quite full on, quite in your face, sort of 95 to 100%. Some of the stuff's not. I tend to find that. So you do need to just bring it down a bit and even just go in and alter some of the individual velocities. Yeah, that's what I tend to do first off. And then once I'm happy with how that's all placed, I'll go into there and I'll start messing about with the microphones. So the shells, I tend to have more of a room down overheads. I'll bring the overheads down for the shells a little bit, and then I'll do the opposite for the cymbals, more overheads and a bit less room. And then also what you can do in here, it's got a little bit of an EQ section as well. So the toms for this one I did leave flat, but the kick and the snare I did put a little bit of EQ there, just took a bit of the mid-range out and boosted the lows and highs a little bit. Also, another little thing you can do with Kvlt Drums2, you can tune the drums. So if you don't like the tuning ROM puts on these, you can just tune it either lower or higher as you see fit. And then I just added these couple of samples in as well from Warheed, just to give it an extra bit of beef in there. So yeah, that's how that pans out. And then for the other 2, like I say, we're just using these for snares. So what I'll do, once I'm happy with it, how it's all sounding in there, I'll just copy that into these other 2 tracks. Because this was for an Amp Sim demo, this track is from the Dominator Amp Sim Revisited track I did a few weeks back. I tend to just leave the whole MIDI as it is. It depends how I am for time. Like I say, for the stuff for Amp Sims, just leave. I tend to just leave the MIDI as it is. But if it's a track that I'm releasing, I'll break the MIDI down and put each MIDI note on separate tracks, just to make it a bit easier for finding the tom hits or the cymbal hits. Mainly for tom hits, because obviously you're not using toms all the way through the track. Although this one has got a lot of tom hits in it. When I do it like that, then I just copy the snare hits over onto separate tracks. But yeah, like I say, for these other 2 tracks, these are just snares, and this first snare I've got, this is from Bobby Torres, Frightbox Recording. This is one of his samples. It's from a kit that he's got at his studio, and this one this is just the top snare, so the top mic, and then on the other one, that's I think it's from JST, Joey Sturgis, and this is for the bottom snare. Once I've got all that sorted out, then we start with doing some mixing. So in this video I'll probably just concentrate on kick and snares, just to break things up, just to, so you're not watching one long video on everything. On kicks, I usually start off with the Schepps Omni channel. It doesn't have to be the Schepps Omni channel, it could be any channel strip, but I particularly like this one. But if you've not got a channel strip, an EQ and a compressor will do the same job. Your stock ones in your doors will do this. If you, like say, if you're just starting out and you don't want to spend a ton of money, I have got a few of the Waves plugins, not a great deal. I mean, there's a couple of my friends who've got a lot more Waves plugins than what I've got. What I tend to do, yeah, I've got the Waves plugins, but I usually wait while they're on sale, and that's a good thing about Waves. When they have a sale, it's a good sale. This is the Schepps. I'll go into more detail on other videos on these plugins that I use. I'll just give you a quick overview of what I've got in there and what I've done, why I've done it. Start off with, got a bit of saturation in there just to just try and liven the kick up a little bit. On this you've got 3 different settings. You've got it on odds, evens or heavy. For kick I tend to put it on heavy. Don't have a high pass filter on there, because if you remember from the previous video, the recording and mix template, we've already taken care of the high pass filter on the drums master bus, so you don't need to do it at this stage. But I do just put a bit of a high filter in, around somewhere between 10 and 12k, sometimes a bit. It depends on the sample and the source material. On the EQ, I've just taken some mid-range out, about 800 hertz and around about 300 hertz, just to take a bit of that muddiness out of the kick drum. And as you see, I've not boosted anything. Yeah, I fell into the trap when I first started coming in. Oh, not hearing a low, not hearing high end, I'm not hearing any the high end clickiness from the kick or the low end, and I go and boost a load of low end and a load of top end about 8k, and yeah, it was still sounding quite muddy. And just talking to a few people and watching a few other videos, and like I said, did the course, Bobby Torres' course, so I've got to check him out, and yeah, he's got a course out that's well worth the money. Just totally change it. I would do things, yeah, sometimes you do need to boost things, but I'm finding more that if you just take that muddiness out, you're not needing to boost as much. Yes, every now and again you might just need to put a little bit of a boost in there, but yeah, even boosting, you might only put boost by a dB or 2. And then after that, you've got this FET style compressor. They've got in this, you've got 3 different styles of compressor. You've got a BCA, a FET, and an OFT. For this one, I've used this FET style compressor at 3.5 to 1, and you don't need much, especially on samples. You don't need much compression on there, minus 3 dB at most. That's basically it for that. Well, like I say, an EQ, stock EQ and a stock compressor will do the same job. I just like how this works and how it sounds, especially on drums. I think it's a fantastic plugin. And after that, on this particular track, I was just trying this multi-band compressor called Imprint from WA Production. And same again, it was just to clamp down on the mid-range muddiness. It seemed to work well on this track, and yeah, so it's just what I'm playing about with at the minute. There's another plugin that I sometimes use if I'm feeling there's not enough low end in, and I'll show you that. This is one from Waves Factory. This is a sub kick simulator. So if you've got a kick drum that's really top end. There's no bottom end on it. This simulates a sort of a sub kick mic, if you will. All you do, it's free. It's fantastic. It's free, and it's pretty damn powerful plug-in. Just set your low pass where you feels right, and then you just blend it in with this mix knob. It's really powerful plug-in, and that's another one I use quite often on kicks. Not always, but yeah, if I feel it's needed, then yeah, I'll put that in. And that's it. But for this one, I use this imprint just to mainly clamp down on that mid-range. And then after that, I'll sometimes put a limiter in there if I'm feeling that the kick drum just needs a little bit of oomph in there just to cut through the mix. And this is another free one. This is the Loud Max. It's similar to the Waves L1. And then on the main snare, you see a theme here. I've got another instance here of the Schepps. Same again, just a bit of saturation. What I tend to do with saturation is I'll go to the extreme with it, and then I'll just dial it back till I feel, yeah, just dial it in as I feel, yeah, that's enough. And then I've got a high-pass filter in there, around about 80 hertz. For this snare, I didn't put a low pass in. I just felt it didn't need it. But that's just for this particular track. On other tracks, yeah, I've put one in, but I felt this one didn't need it. And then I have got the gate engaged there as well, just to help clamp down on the transients. Nothing too severe on there, like I say, it's just to clamp down on the transients that I didn't feel that was needed too much. And same again with the EQ, like I say, just simple EQ moves. I like things pretty simple. I'm a pretty simple guy. No boosting again on there. It's just cuts. So we've got around about 6 dB cut, 5.5, 600 hertz. Same again, yeah, just over 400 hertz. That's just on this particular snare. Yeah, you've got these so-called mixed cheat sheets, but what I find, I mean, I have used them in the past. I mean, I sometimes still refer, I've got one I sometimes still refer to from Jordan Valentine at Hardcore Music Studios. Yeah, they're just starting points. Use them as starting points, and just find stuff that you need to take out. It's just finding frequencies that are really muddy, horrible, and fizzy, and just take those out. And then for compression, same again, round about -3 dB. For the snare, we've got it at 4, around about 5.5 to 1. And then I used this imprint again, like I said, I was just testing it out for this track. And same again, just to clamp down on that mid-range muddiness. And then, yeah, got this Loud Max limiter in there. Don't always use it. Like I say, I only put stuff in that feels needed. Sometimes, yeah, I'll put in and think, no, it's not sounding out, and then we take it out. It's all about experimentation. This is the same against that, like with the gate, it's just to catch those transients, just to clamp down on those. So that's the main snare. And then these other couple of snare tracks I've got, these are lower down in the mix. These are just to fill the snare sound out altogether. And like I said, the second snare, and this was the top mic from Bobby Torres' samples. And to start off with, just add a distortion plugin. Could be any sort of distortion plugin or saturation plugin. For this track, I just used the Dot One in Studio One. This is the red light. It's a pretty powerful one. I quite like it. And then after that, just use the stock EQ. And as you can see, this is just taking care of mid-range of the snare. So got it all the way up to around about 400 hertz and 4K. And as you can see, just taking a little bit of that honky mid-range out there. And then after that, got another gating, like I say, same again, just to clamp down on those transients. Bit of compression as well, around about 3 to 1. Same again, just to take some of that edge off it. I think this one's a bit more of a compression than the other two snares. On this one, so it takes it down to about minus 10, minus 11 ish. Like I say, this one's a lot lower down in the mix. And then after that, I say this is the stock limiter in Studio One, just to keep everything in check. And then on the snare bottom, this third snare, we've got the Schepps Omni channel again. And this is just to take care of the high end. This is the bottom snare, just to give it that bit of fizz, bit of top end. So we've got a high pass filter in all the way up to 1K, bit of saturation, no gates, and I've just taken a bit of 1.9K out, sort of 1.92K. I just found on this snare sample, just really harsh, really in your face. 4:1 on the compression, and same again, around about -3 dB on there. That's all we had on that channel. So yeah, as you can see, everything's pretty simple. I'll just play you those 3 snare samples together. So without the processing on, this is what it sounds like. And with the processing on, they sound like this. Big difference in sound, taking some of that unkiness out of the mid-range. As you can see, the routing I've got, all the shells are going to the main drum bus, and then they go to the drum para and to the drums master, and then on the snares they go to the reverbs. So that's it for this video. I hope that helps 1 or 2 people out. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. That's all for this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Right folks, I hope you enjoyed that video. You can follow me on social media, and you can get my music online. And if you want to support the channel, there's buy me a coffee and PayPal links. They're all down in the description. Click up here to subscribe, and click the link down there for videos that you may not have seen. Keep it loud and keep it heavy.